This screencast is for a simple course management system add-in for RStudio Server Pro. If you haven't yet installed the add-in, see the installation instructions on its GitHub site. That page also includes setup instructions for both you and your students, not shown here. This screencast assumes you've followed those instructions as well. This screencast covers just one use of the add-in, distributing a file to students. You can always get to the add-in from the RStudio server account in which you originally installed it. Just click on the Add-ins menu here and choose the Simple Course Management System add-in. It opens the add-in in a new tab in your browser. The add-in is broken into 3 categories shown at the top. In this screencast, we're working with the file sharing tools. This menu is how the instructor chooses what file sharing action the add-in should take. In this screencast, we want to distribute a file to students, which is the default, so we'll leave that menu alone. Let's say we have an assignment stored in a file in our own home folder at this path. Notice that as we type, the bottom half of the interface is updating. Each line represents a file copy operation that will be performed if we proceed. The same source file is repeated on each line, but with 3 different destinations. The file does not exist in the student's folders, so we know it's safe to copy. If it did exist there, the interface would tell you whether the student's file was older or newer. You can choose which subset of students will receive the file. By default, all students are selected. Clicking the bottom button distributes the file, overwriting any file the students have of the same name. To avoid that, we could use the top button, which would distribute files only to those students that don't already have a file of that name. This is useful if some students join the class late and need a copy of an assignment you've already distributed, but you don't want to overwrite work already begun by other students. We have already checked that there are no potential collisions, so in this case both buttons have the same effect. We click one of the buttons to distribute the files, and you can see that the interface updates itself. Now we see that each student does indeed have the file, and their versions are newer than the original, because they were just created. That's how you distribute a file to your students. Future videos demonstrate how to collect, grade, and return completed assignments.